Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khush amdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Bakher agele, ni hao, tune shumme, washmale, ohio, guzaimas, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifahal, halishuma chatore, ahlan wasalan, maraba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabia, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning alongside the fantastic, the fabulous Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan on a fine Monday morning where it was a little chilly early today.
But also sunny as well, which
Yeah.
means good sunny. We are already headed towards winter. Shazada, I feel like you had 2 cups of coffee today.
No, I didn't actually had a cup of coffee. I actually had a tin of coffee,
Okay.
and that was only one as well. But I think that I've picked this habit from you, and I don't know whether I should be happy about it or not. But recently, you know, whenever I used to come to the studios, I would actually see her sipping up on the coffee. I was like, probably it's a better idea.
But you know what? This used to be my secret. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, of course, I mean, now you realize coffee does something,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, it's a kick in the morning. So I'd be like, I wish everyone else in the office was at the same energy level as me because I'd be all over the place, you know, so excited about things.
Yeah.
And then probably he discovered the secret and now we're both so
Exactly.
on the same page.
And we are even drinking the same coffee as
Yeah.
well. But coffee, ladies and gentlemen, helps people to actually kind of rejuvenate as well. And at the same time, it kind of, you know, there's this thing in my head that if I'm not going to have coffee, I will not feel energized.
Oh, same here.
Yeah, but there's a problem now. So just to be energized, what I started doing was that I actually started having a lot of caffeine, ladies and gentlemen. So having 2 or 3 cups of coffee in a day, which apparently actually made sure that I'm not going to feel well. So coffee, I'm sorry that I kind of overused and abused you. But for all of those people who are out there, please use it in, you know, in kind of what you need to do is
A
you
moderate
really
way.
need, yeah, a moderate, yeah.
I mean, addiction in any form is bad, to be honest.
Yeah.
And this is caffeine addiction, guilty, but we will take care of that. I feel like, you know, coming up next is going to be a name of a coffee brand, but hey, we're not advertising with this is just our morning
Yeah.
routine. Okay, Shazad, now it's Monday and we definitely need to pick up on something so important.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
Okay, so today, ladies and gentlemen, we have picked up on a very important topic. I'm very glad that we've actually been the ambassadors for the same topic as well.
For a very long
Yeah,
time.
for a very long time. Since the conception of this show, we have been trying to kind of highlight all the issues which are related to that particular topic. And to give away the topic, ladies and gentlemen, we say that, you know, as people, as humans, as men, specifically, we have this right to vote. You know, in all the political spheres, we see men within Pakistan doing a lot of stuff. You know, people being elected and whatnot. And then on the other hand, we see that there's a quota for women seats as well. And which to some extent I don't agree to, and it's because of the fact that if we are to talk about women empowerment, we should actually do it openly as well, and then provide them with the platforms which are actually already available for men in the same society as well. And not just the political sphere, we actually want them to have their voice within the community, within the society, and within the economic sphere as well. And you know, the way we're actually growing the human race, we are actually about 7 billion people all over the world. And with 55% population, which comprises of women, I believe that it's about time that we let them do what they want to do.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for talking about it so beautifully,
Thank you
Shazad. And
very
you know, of course, since we are hailing from the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, our religion also empowers women in so many other ways. I mean, a lot of people sort of misconstrue the meaning of empowerment. And whenever people start talking about women empowerment, people sort of connotate it with, you know, working women or women in offices. It's not just that. I mean, there's just so much to that. And this is what we will be discovering today.
Exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now to introduce our amazing panel of guests over here that Shazad is going to do.
So, ladies and gentlemen, with us making her debut on our show for the first time. Well, I said debut, so it means that as well. And she's a lawyer herself. She's been working with multiple NGOs and organizations. She's been trying to help ladies, women with migration issues as well. Since I just told you that she's actually from UK, and then she's actually doing quite a lot of stuff over here within Pakistan. We like and we kind of love all of those people who are doing something great for their own country as well. She's none other than Ms. Rashda Hamid. Hi, how are you? Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam. I'm fine. How are you?
Absolutely perfect. Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you.
Thank you.
How do you feel? It's your TV debut. Kind of.
A little bit nerve-wracking, but I think I'll survive.
Well, that's great. And alongside Ms. Rashda, ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined by an educationist. She's actually going to speak about quite a lot of other issues as well, including education, what she's done for women within our own country and within the society she lives in as well. She's none other than Miss Aisha Iqbal. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm fine.
Thank you very much for joining us. So let's get the let's get started. And to get started today, Shiza, I think I'll let you do it.
Oh, thank you so
Go
much,
ahead.
Azad. All right, so ladies, I know what amazing stuff you do. We will definitely get to that because our audience needs to know as well. But both of you have this one thing in common. You both are working in empowering women while belonging to the privileged segment of the society. We all agree.
Yep.
So what drove you in that direction? I mean, let's be honest, you, mashallah, had everything on the plate, but what drove you to actually look after or help those women in need?
Yeah.
Well, I've been brought up in a very privileged society. I was brought up in England, never deprived of education because it's a right of every
Right.
individual there. I have, when I came across ethnic minorities in England, and then I carried on to study law, became a lawyer. Ethnic minorities that were coming into England from countries such as Pakistan, Bangladesh, a lot of the women didn't know the basic rights. They didn't know how to even carry on with their immigration statuses. We set up a foundation called the Ethnic Minority Foundation, which we did after getting in touch with Lord Bhatia. And what happened was the women that were coming into this foundation, a lot of them were from Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, places such as that. And they didn't know basic rights as to how to apply for a job, how to go about getting a house, how to make up a CV. So we were basically helping them integrate back into society.
But do you feel like, I mean, all of that, you're saying that a lot of ethnic minorities, women, they didn't know how to go about all of that. Was that because of lack of education, the basics just, I mean?
Basically, it was lack of education. When you see, I mean, when I've come into Pakistan now, and you look at the women in Pakistan, and I feel so sad because we are supposed to be an Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and Islam does give us the right, you know, for every individual, not just women, but even the men. And if we just have awareness of those rights, first of all, then there's nothing limiting us. The first word in the Quran was Iqra when it was revealed to our Prophet. So why is education deprived of girls? I've no idea. Women in this country are over 50% of the population, and they can really benefit towards the economy of the country, towards social causes. There's so much that women can do in this country, and I just feel they're so deprived in this country.
Absolutely. And this is what actually Aisha is working in, you know, in line with this. Tell us all about it. We know that, mashallah, you do have a school system as well. You are teaching the underprivileged ones. But this specific issue of, you know, limited education to women.
Yeah, so I started my welfare work with the education of underprivileged children, as you must have heard about it before. But, you know, as the children grew up, I noticed that the parents kept sending their boys for receiving education, but they stopped sending their girls.
Higher education.
So, so that was such a big, you know, challenge for us to convince them to keep sending their girls for secondary education, even though it was free. So we talked to them, and you know there was a lot of pressure from the society that, you know, these parents might think this and that about you, but still we kept managing, and now alhamdulillah they're sending, we opened up a school only for girls then, a secondary school for girls. So you know, this is how parents are sending them, and I kept telling them that you want female teachers to teach your girls, and if you're not going to teach your girls, how are we going to get female teachers in future?
Absolutely. Isn't it same like, you know, getting a Dr. Bahu, or, you know, making your beti a doctor, and then whenever not actually, you know, sort of confining them to as their houses and not letting them practice. And when it's time, you need a lady doctor to serve them.
So we also tried to open up vocational centers in different areas so that at least women can get some skills so that they can become economically empowered in the society. And alhamdulillah, it has been a big, you know, success also.
Okay. Well, that's great. And I want to build up on that. So for all of those parents who are out there, and if you get to, you know, understand what I'm trying to convey, I think that, you know, quite a lot of issues will be resolved. So imagine that whenever we're getting our daughters married, we're actually going to get her, you know, the best TV, you know, the one she loves, the best bed, the best furniture, whatnot. But the only person with whom she's actually going to live her life, we do not really put a lot of effort in it. And I think that this is something which really needs to be understood by people who are out there. Because if you're not going to get her married into the same kind of mentality which she's been brought up with, I think that there are a lot of multiple issues which can actually occur and can actually cause a lot of problem as well. But other than that, now what I wanted to ask was,
So much wisdom today, Shazad.
thank you very much. You know, it's the coffee kicking in. Yeah. But what I wanted to ask today was that whenever we speak about women empowerment, I think that, you know, quite a lot of things have changed. I've seen a lot of women stepping up in their game as well, and then making sure that they raise their voices within the community and wherever they go as well. But if we are to analyze that, how do you think that the situation was back in 2010 and now in 2019? Do you guys see that globally there's an improvement and there's more acceptance in men as well towards women empowerment?
I think Pakistan has a long way to go.
Okay.
If you're talking about Pakistan, if you're talking about globally, yes, there's been huge marches and gatherings together for equal pay and things such as that. But when I look at the Pakistanis in Pakistan, and I think you can't get women empowerment without educated men.
Okay.
And this is something I want to say to the ladies out there in Pakistan: educate your fathers, educate your brothers, educate your sons, because without their women are not going to be comfortable walking down the road, going into an office. I mean, in England, you have rights. Every individual has a right. And if you are harassed in work, it could be something as simple as a statement, a sentence, the way you're dressed, the color of your skin. Straight away, those women know whether they're being harassed or not. And they know the means and the tools to address that situation.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that is in Pakistan. I feel the women are still restricted of those rights.
Right.
They're not, I mean, if workplace harassment, I'm sure, is a big deal in Pakistan, because I've seen the way generally the men are in Pakistan.
Yeah.
They're not so friendly towards women, working women especially. There's a whole stigma attached to it. And I think that's something that the government needs to also facilitate the women, because the women are really holding, you know, I basically think it was the women who put the government in place, because women got out of their houses, rallied for this government. And I think now it's the government's job to facilitate those women and give them those rights that they've dreamed of.
Exactly. Thank you very much for saying that as well, which is why I just thought of another question, which I believe is an important one as well. Now, you just mentioned, and you were talking about women and women empowerment and what we need to do. But then, as a matter of fact, don't you think that we actually need to just, not the husbands only, but we really need to educate the mother-in-laws. We actually need to educate the sisters of that particular husband, of that particular lady as well.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times what I've seen is that women empowerment is actually hindered by other women.
Other women,
Yeah.
exactly.
So what do you have to say about this in the first place, Ms. Aisha?
Well, I think things have really changed during the past 10
Thank you.
years
That's
in
relieving.
Pakistan also, because just like I mentioned, parents are sending their children, especially girls, for primary education at least.
Yeah.
Although we do have to work on secondary education and higher studies.
But that's still a big step, right? I mean,
That's
primary
still a
education
big
itself.
step, because otherwise those girls were just left uneducated, thinking that if girls get education, they're going to go, you know, out of hands.
Right.
I don't know what that
I mean,
means.
what's with that?
Yeah. So, and also we see that more women are coming into politics. Globally and also in Pakistan. We also see that more women are becoming professionals.
Yep.
Although, as this was just mentioned, that you know, when a woman, she steps out of her house for you know, gaining economic stability of her respective home,
Right.
she is criticized and she is actually blamed for so many things that she cannot even imagine.
Exactly.
So you know, she gets so like demotivated that sometimes she leaves the job, even if it is a need of her home. So this is a big issue in Pakistan, and it sometimes even, just like I've seen some homes, it sometimes even leads to gender-based violence in the houses, inside and outside homes also. So this needs to be really addressed. And coming to, you know, gender-based violence, it is not just because of husbands or the male members of the family, but also the female members.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Right, absolutely. That's what Shazad said. And you know, ladies, after listening to all of this conversation, I feel like we establish here that it's the mindset that we're dealing with. It is nothing,
Absolutely.
you know, it has nothing to do with just women or just men or just the government. You know, it's just the mindset, to be honest.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that in itself is such a big deal. I mean, like you were mentioning, that there is no fee to the school. You just have to come and receive the education. And still, if the parents are not willing to send their girls, it's literally the mindset. And that is, I think, we have to start from the grassroots level. But how to go about it?
how to go about it.
Well, I think Islam gives us such a clear path.
Absolutely.
You know, Islam gives us so many rights that sometimes as a nation we don't even know about.
Right.
Islam gives us equality in education. Actually, Islam says that education is obligatory for every man and woman.
Absolutely.
So what more do we want to know about it, right? And moreover, if although it is a priority for a woman after marriage to stay home and look after the home and children, train the children, you know, work on their character building. But if she has to step out because of any reason at all, she should be respected and she has every right to do what she wants.
And thank you very much for saying that. And I'll add on to that, ladies and gentlemen, for all of those families which I have witnessed so far, you know, who are actually going to pray 5 times, read Quran every day. I think that they have actually given a lot of liberty to their family and all the family members, may it be women, men, and whoever, because they understand the religion. Now, as a matter of fact, I think that the problem over here is that what we have done in our households is that, you know, Quran is a book which is actually going to tell us about how life needs to be. And, you know, it is like one of those keys which we actually need to read to be successful in life. But what we have done is that we kind of kiss it and put it somewhere onto the top where it is not right in front of us as well, and we do not even read it.
I mean, we read it in Arabic just for the sake of reading it. Shazad.
Exactly,
We don't know what it
and you know,
says.
hum chumte hain aur hum wo upar rakh dete hain, you know, we don't read it. So I think that for all of those people who've actually read it, they know how to go about it. But on the other hand, what I believe is, you know, I'm going to link it with what Shiza was saying, that, you know, we really need to change the mindset. I think that it's the attitude which needs to be changed whenever we talk about women empowerment. I think that it needs to be the mentality which needs to be changed as well. Then, you know, I think that these are the facets of women empowerment. These are the characteristics. How do you think that we can bring about a change in the attitudes of people when we speak about women empowerment?
I think education is a huge factor. And I think awareness, when you look at some of, I mean, I'm not even talking about the villages in Pakistan, even the cities, if you look at the way, the way the mindset works, even in the cities, the larger cities, Lahore, Islamabad, Karachi, you still feel that women are undervalued.
Of course.
They're not looked at as equals. And I think the basic, number one key for me is education and awareness for these people. They definitely need more shows like this. They definitely need better schooling. They definitely need to be taught this. And they also need to be taught this in the workplace as well. And I think that there should definitely be some rules, criteria to make the staff aware that, you know, you can't treat women like that. You have to be an equal. It's like when you go in the workplace and you're in the same position in work, they should both be paid equally, and they should both be able to get the promotion on an equal basis as well.
Thank you very much for saying that. And ladies and gentlemen, I've witnessed it myself as well. So there are a few villages I'm not going to name within Punjab, and I've been to weddings over there. So, and what I'm going to share with you is very devastating, and it was devastating for me too as well. And even till date, I cannot actually believe that this is what they're doing. So what they do is that when a lady gets married, and you know, for all of those people within that part of Punjab are very rich. You know, most of their members are actually somewhere abroad earning, they send back home money, and they build properties. So what they do is that they actually do not give their daughters the right to have a share in the property, because what they say is that, you know, we've actually given you whatever you required while you were getting married, you know, so it's all about jahez, the dowry. So and what they do is that they never let her have a piece of land, and they say that whatever it was, we've given you a car, we've given you char bhaise, and, you know, do whatever you want to do. And even the husband cannot later on, even after the death or the demise of his wife, go and ask for the share his wife was entitled to. And each
Although
and every
the religion
woman
enables you to have it,
yeah. So they do not do this, and all they say is that, you know, oh, we have given her whatever she had, you know, while she was getting married. So imagine that this is the kind of situation over in Pakistan, and those women themselves knowingly do not raise their voice against their brothers. What should we do?
I'd like to add that this is not just in the remote areas. I've seen this happening in cities.
Okay.
In
Even with
my
educated
far-off
ones.
relatives, you know, I've educated and well-off people.
Yeah.
They also do the same thing. And we were actually amazed because Islam gives a right to every woman to have a share in the property.
Yes.
I mean, it's literally written in detail what
Yes.
part.
In such a big detail, you
Yeah.
know. And Well, I would like to say the same thing again, that we need to talk about these things more and more. Because some people don't even know what is right and what is wrong. This is what I believe, you know, that sometimes you don't even know that what is Islam and what is not, because we don't read the script. So we should talk about these things, that women have equal share of equal, or you know, the right share of property in the in their parents' you know, whatever they leave
Inheritance
behind.
or whatever they
Inheritance,
possess.
yes.
Right, absolutely. Now, you know, we have generally been talking about the situation at hand in Pakistan, but since you work for ethnic minorities, not only Pakistanis or Muslim, all sorts of women out there in the UK, right?
Yeah.
Can you say, I mean, or is it safe to say that women all over the world do have similar issues? Like you said, for example, if we were to talk about immigration papers and whatnot, because of lack of education, they don't absolutely know where to go or where to start.
Yeah.
So are we having the similar issues everywhere?
Well, in what my experience is in the UK, and the ethnic minorities we saw in the UK were, a lot of them were from Pakistan, but we also had Bangladeshis, we had Indians, Sri Lankans, Middle Eastern, and there is, I think Indians and Sri Lankans are a little bit more educated, so they're a bit more aware. They know their rights, they know which office to go to, what question to ask. Whereas the Bangladeshis and the Pakistanis, and to an extent the Middle Eastern, they didn't know basically where to start. So that's where, you know, our foundation kicked in, and we were teaching these ladies basics of how to, you know, fill out an application form for jobs or whatever their immigration statuses were, trying to help them settlement in the UK. And I feel that it's a rhetoric. You hear it everywhere, you know, across all cultures. There is that the women are less educated than the men,
Right.
and it's such a shame as well. I mean, it's that when they should have an equal footing.
Exactly, which is why, you know, very quickly before we wrap up this segment, I think I have an answer to the same question I asked you as well. So where I said that, you know, we really need to change the attitudes.
Yeah.
No, I think that one way or the other, I'm sorry, I'm not kind of pointing fingers, but it's the women themselves actually responsible, the kind of situation they are in. And it's because of the fact that every now and then over here in Pakistan, we see that in every household, you know, they let other people decide for them. And I think that this is the attitude I was talking about, that which needs to be changed. You know, you cannot go to your brother and father every day and ask about things, "Main ye kar loon," you know, am I allowed to do this? I mean, come on, go ahead, you know, take a leap. This is the kind of attitude I was talking about.
I know, but think about how suppressed they are.
That's what I was
Yeah, they're actually told to ask, not inform.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah?
so here's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
thing,
yeah.
This is the line.
So,
So
Shahzad, I'm
this
really
is the
happy.
kind of attitude you need to change.
No,
You know,
but
just
I'm really
inform,
happy
don't
you
ask.
brought this
Yeah.
up. So here's the thing, because you have such a mindset, right? Because you will definitely create such an environment for your daughters, inshallah, where they will be able to decide for themselves. But unfortunately, I mean, on a larger scale, a lot of hundreds of thousands of women out there in Pakistan, so many different segments, cannot even decide or do not even have, let's say, their own power to decide ke धनिया पुदीना ले आएं जाके या किसी को पैसे दें. I mean it. I mean, it's not just that one day they're going to wake up and be like, I'm going to change the world. No, there are so many other chains that, you know, come, let's say baggage is really huge.
We need to understand as a society that women empowerment is in favor of all people in the society, because otherwise we're losing the human capital, you know, a big human capital.
Exactly.
Just like Shahzad said, 55% of the human population,
Yeah.
we're going to lose it.
Exactly. Thank you very much for being with us. It was wonderful to be in conversation with some amazing empowered ladies
Thank
who
you
really do not belong to that mindset where they actually have to ask for ke dhania pudina kahan se leke aane or whatnot. They can do it by themselves and they can decide what's good for them in their life as well. I think that's the kind of mindset we need, ladies and gentlemen.
Definitely.
It's really about attitudes. We need to change them. Inform, don't ask, but inform about things which are safe.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here, ladies. And it's not just that they are empowered, they're definitely helping empower so many other women as well. Ladies and gentlemen, right now we're headed to a very short break, but when we come back, we will still be talking about women empowerment, but in a more, well, in a different dimension. Stay tuned to find out.
Because you can't be empowered if you're not healthy. Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Good morning.
Good morning.
successful harvest is a reason to celebrate and enjoy the fruits of labor. We present to you the dawn to dusk Punjabi dance.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. For everybody who just got tuned into PT Football, you watching well this morning alongside Shiza Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Today, ladies and gentlemen, earlier in the first hours, we were actually talking about women empowerment. But now we are actually going to talk about healthier women. And it's because of the fact that this month, ladies and gentlemen, October, is actually dedicated to Breast Cancer Awareness Month as well. And that's what we're going to do. So Shiza, please go ahead and let us know about it.
So Shazad, do you see how these are linked as well? I mean, when we are talking about women empowerment and then having a whole month to observe
Yep.
this or to, aware everyone out there, because empowering women just literally does not mean, as I mentioned in the, beginning of the show, it's not all about money. It's not about going to workplaces. It's about having the right to look after yourselves, have a very good health, of course. And then there are so many things out there. I mean, so many diseases as well that women are sometimes not even aware of because, first of all, not enough medical facilities, not enough, let's say, permission to go out and check if there's something wrong, not enough attention to even give you a day off from whatever you're doing.
Exactly.
So this is why we're taking all of the month of October to observe this awareness month. And this is why we're also wearing these pink ribbons. I don't know if you can see or not.
Yeah.
But the
Over here.
stats, ladies and gentlemen, all over the globe for breast cancer are, I mean,
Alarming.
so alarming, absolutely alarming. Shazad, I mean, you
Yeah,
could
and
definitely-
talking about stats, ladies and gentlemen, 1.3 million women. And it's not just women as well, to my surprise, even men included. There are 1.3 million cases annually globally as well. But other
And
than...
so sorry to cut you, and among those 1.3, 438,000 die as well every year.
Exactly, and it's all because of the fact that the diagnosis is not done on time as well. We are actually going to figure out the reasons. But very quickly, before we actually move on towards a report, there's one more problem within Pakistan and countries like Pakistan, or, where women are actually not that liberated as well. Now, the problem is to speak about issues within your private parts or which actually are related to your private part. It's very hard for people over here to go to the doctor and talk about them. I think
Stigmatized.
that this is something which we really need to get rid of. And the sole reason why I didn't use the word stigmatize was that I actually want to tell them that there's no shame. And there
Alright.
shouldn't be any shame because it's a life and death issue as well. So if you're not actually going to detect it in time, that's going to be a problem. Because I still remember, my nephew growing up, he was in his 5th grade, and the teachers were actually supposed to educate them about different sorts of cancer for the private parts as well, and they kind of tell them in 5th grade that you actually have to touch them, check them, and if you think that there's a lump, just go to the doctor. So
Right.
this is the way how you actually educate societies and communities
Absolutely.
as well. But very quickly, we have this report. Go ahead, take a look. I mean, you guys will come back. We have some amazing people over here in the guests to talk about the topic. Let's do this. right, ladies and gentlemen, so I think that we really do not need to speak any further about how fatal this disease can be and how common it is and how widely actually it's growing even within Pakistan and in the rest of the world. To speak about it, ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined by Professor of Surgery, PIMS. He's none other than Dr. Mumtaz. Hello, assalamu alaikum, a very warm welcome. How are you?
Shukriya.
Thank you very much for joining us. It's wonderful to have you alongside Dr. Mumtaz. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined by Assistant Professor Surgery, PIMS. She's none other than Dr. Shaista Zafar. Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you very much for joining us. So the first thing which I wanted to ask was that we have seen this report back in 1960, the rate was 63%, and today it is 89%. Why is it increasing so fast?
It's not really joyful to add that in Pakistan, the situation is really grave. In Pakistan, the incidence is increasing, and it is most common cancer, newly diagnosed cancers, almost accounting for 23% of the new cases reported. And then the deaths due to this issue, again, they are at the highest level. Almost 16% of the people die during the treatment or before the diagnosis or even after the diagnosis and after the treatment. The core issue is in the culture. People, as you already stated, that they don't feel like coming to the hospital services because most of the health professionals, they are males, so they don't want to go to the males. Most of the surgeons are males. Although the trend is towards a change, and now female surgeons are being introduced. There are a lot of female surgeons. Even in Islamabad, you can find more than 10, 15 well-reputed expert surgeons here. But again, they are still less for a 55% of the female population.
Exactly.
And then the people at home who might not be supporting because of the social stigmas, telling people their wives or their sisters or their mothers, they have breast cancer, and they can't take them to the hospital, then the affordability of the people. And then the food. Food is also important because we very rarely go for the balanced diet, or we care about the things that should be included in our diet. We are actually a wheat eating country. We just, we can spend our lives on eating just a wheat or a roti and
Imagine
not adding
we
anything
spend our
healthy
lives
for
eating fried egg every morning.
All right, so let's do a yes and no for all the people out there. It's going to be easier even for us to understand. Lifestyle does have an impact, I mean, in
Yes, it
developing
does.
breast cancer?
If it is sedentary, it's weight gaining, like there is obesity, as you already stated in your report. And then if there is excessive alcohol consumption, then the stress level, and using preserved food like pickles,
Right, and
and
canned
acidic,
food stuff, yeah.
yes, canned food, these all are the contributory factors
right,
for the
and
cancers.
age?
Age is very important, yes. In females, if the age increases, the incidence of cancer increases. The comparison can be made that at the age of 20 years, 9% incidence is that patient can have breast cancer. But at the age of 90, there is 20% incidence the patient can have breast cancer.
All right, so age does definitely
Yes.
matter. And gender? So
Gender
important.
is important because the breast tissue is more dense and it is more developed in female gender. That is why female are more predisposed to this cancer. But in males, they are not actually spared. 0.5% of the cancers occur in males.
Males, okay.
And that can be actually more aggressive. They can present at an earlier age. And unfortunately, we don't have any specialized services for them. They are treated in the same way as the males are. As they have a smaller component of the gland, we can't preserve them. And the reconstructive measures, they are quite expensive. They become expensive for them as well.
Exactly. So which is why I just wanted to ask that as well, because it was very relatively new for me as well to get to know that, that breast cancer actually affects both the genders. Well, I knew, I had a hint, but I never knew that as well. So how do you think that men can actually check that they have a problem with their chest or not? This is something which everybody should know, and even women.
Yeah.
Just when we are at home, how do we check that whether we are fine or not? And if in case that we feel that there's a lump or something, what do we need to do?
The only thing with the breast is that you should palpate your breast with your tip of the fingers,
Yep.
with finger pulps, because the pulp of the
Like this?
Yes.
Yep.
The tip of the fingers are one
it
of the
should be
most
sitting on the
sensitive
gland.
parts of the body.
Okay.
And you can check it, and if you feel some lump over there,
Yeah.
first thing is that you may feel a lump.
Okay.
Or sometimes what happens is that you have some trauma, and because of trauma, you get some attention to something. Because of the pain of the trauma, you palpate your breast and you feel that there is something wrong in the breast.
Yeah.
So don't assume that probably this is because of the trauma.
Okay.
It may be because that you never examined your breast, you never palpated it, and
It
it
already
was the
existed.
trauma which drew your attention to the lump.
Okay.
So, and similarly, if there is some change in your in the nipple of the male, if the nipple is getting retracted, or it is becoming more protuberant, or there is some discharge, or there is some ulcer or wound, then you should immediately come to the healthcare professional, whichever is accessible to you, and then they will examine and they will tell whether it is significant or it's not significant.
All right. How often should we get checked up? I mean, self-diagnosis, of course, it's one thing, but generally speaking, every 6 months, every 2 months, how often?
Actually, if you palpate it too often, then you may inflict some trauma to it, and trauma causes inflammation and it will cause pain.
Okay.
So once it you start feeling pain, then the pain draws your attention, and you keep palpating it, and it is painful.
Exactly.
So it will be a vicious circle will set in.
Oh, okay.
So the thing is that you should examine it only once in a year.
Oh, okay.
So you can develop a habit of palpating it on your birthday, or every new year, or once in a year. You can define on which date I will examine. But
Okay.
at least you can look in the mirror, and don't palpate it unnecessarily too much, because it will inflict trauma and it will cause pain, and then I told you that it will
It's a
be a
cycle.
vicious circle.
Yeah. Okay, so which is why what I wanted to ask was, since you are from PIMS as well, and it's one of those hospitals which is very kind of flooded with people and a lot of emergencies and whatnot as well. So what I wanted to ask is, what is the right process of screening? And since we know that that this disease is growing at a very faster pace, is government taking any initiative to let people know about it, or screenings for free and stuff like that? Is that happening?
Yes, we have a very well-developed hospital, very well-developed health facility related to this screening, breast cancer screening, and it has been partially funded by World Health Organization, and it is being run by a team of surgeons, doctors, radiologists, oncologists, counselors, and trained nursing staff who are available for the initial examination of the patient. Screening is basically done in those people who can have breast cancer. It's not that they come up with a sign and symptom. They will not have any sign and symptom, but they might have it. So who are the people? Actually, the screening program is being run for those who are between 40 to 70 years in between this age group. And then those who are at risk group, for example, if they have a family history.
Oh, that matters.
Yes, it does. Maternal side is more important. Maternal aunt, mother, and maternal sisters, maternal cousins, they are all very important. And the incidence increases in those who have more members affected by this. And then ovarian cancer, if the patient already has ovarian cancer or the family history of ovarian cancer. And then if the patient had a history of breast cancer before, they have a tendency to develop it in the contralateral breast on the other side. So these are the people who should come for screening. Then the screening pattern is different. Screening is basically done by mammography. Mammography is very sensitive, and preferably it is done, it has very good results. They miss only 10% of the cancers if patient's age is more than 40. Less than 40 years, we have an option to use MRI as a screening tool, and ultrasound in most of the cases. But it's always preferred to join both these reports with the mammogram to give a final version of the diagnosis.
All right, perfect.
That is what is.
So, I mean, what are, if breast cancer is diagnosed in a man or a woman, what are the survival and then rehabilitation chances?
That is why screening has been introduced, because the survival is very good if people can be detected at an earlier stage. If they are diagnosed in stage 1, the minimal treatment when the breast can be conserved, patient can have chemotherapy with very few side effects, and the people have a survival of more than 90%, 5-year survival. So it's that is one good reason that screening should be introduced in almost all the tertiary care hospitals where people can go.
And that's great. And which is why, you know, what I wanted to actually ask was, are there any other diseases related to a person who's actually being diagnosed with breast cancer or chest cancer?
Yes, in males it is prostate cancer, which can be related to it. In females it is ovarian cancer,
All right.
which are very strongly related to
And
breast
other than
cancers.
chemotherapy and other medication, do we have a solution of surgery as well? Which is that?
Yes, actually, surgery is the mainstay of treatment. In the initial days, there was the man Halsted, who at that time it was breast cancer was considered incurable. It was like a death sentence. So what he did was that he removed the whole breast along with all the chest wall muscles,
Yeah.
Okay.
the pectorals, which you call butterfly something.
Exactly.
So later on, chemotherapeutic, very good chemotherapeutic agents were produced. These are the medicines which, if you give patients, it shrinks the tumor. So afterwards, gradually, now there is more conservative approach.
Yeah.
So in the old days, the quality of life was adversely affected because the whole breast was removed. The chest becomes asymmetrical, so you have to wear these inserts.
Yeah.
And women don't feel very good about themselves when they look into mirror.
Exactly.
So now, with the help of this screening, we can pick up these tumors early, and we can perform this breast conserving surgery, in which only part of the tumor is removed and the breast is still there. And there are various, we have over the time improved the techniques in which breast shape is preserved. So in some patients, even you cannot judge that whether they were operated or not.
Okay.
All right.
So
All
it is then coupled with chemotherapy and radiotherapy.
That's
But here is one message which I want to give general public, that one thing in our society is prevalent, that they don't tell patient, the family doesn't tell patient that you have cancer. The cancer itself is a very small lump, and it is not causing any pain or any problem to the patient. And the treatment itself, the chemotherapy, is sometimes painful.
Okay.
So you have to tell them, if it is
If they're
mother
going
or
through
some
something.
other one, you have to tell them that you have cancer, and even if this is painful, you have to go through it.
Exactly.
Right.
Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much
much
for
for
saying
saying
that. And thank you very much, Dr. Saiba. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, for being with us and to speak about this important topic. It was wonderful to have you. And keep up the good work. And I think that we're actually going to convince a lot of people to get your screenings done, because they're for free, even at PIMS as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, all we want is you to be happy and healthy as well.
Absolutely. And like Dr. Saab mentioned, I think it's a very good idea that we should make it an annual thing. I mean, pick a day. Like you can pick your birthday. He mentioned a New Year resolution this can be, you know.
Exactly.
Once in a year, get yourself diagnosed. I mean, God forbid if anything is there, you can catch it in time and be healthy.
Exactly. We'll do that, ladies and gentlemen. But for now, please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of...
Well this morning.
On Twitter.
Well this morning without a G.
On Daily Motion and YouTube.
Also Well This
And
Morning.
this fabulous repeat is going to be at...
5 past 11 p.m. tonight.
Till the next time, 1, 2, 3.
Good
Good morning.
morning.
Thank you very much.